yogis. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful evening. We're going to be doing a core vinyasa class. So we'll be doing quite a bit of nice, strong work for the centers of our bodies here tonight. This will be great if you have been feeling a lack of willpower. Your core of your body, your abdominal area, your lower back, your hip flexors, the space around your rib cage is not just important in terms of your physical strength, but it is very important in terms of your intention and your motivation. When you strengthen your core, you work on not just the strength to stand tall and have good posture, but also the strength to follow through. Feels very empowering to work on your core. We're going to do that tonight. No props are required, but if you want to have an extra deep stretch at the end of class, or you like to have a cushion for your knees, you might like to have a block, yoga block. If you do not have a yoga block, don't worry. A folded up blanket that's just relatively firm, 3-ish inches in height will work just fine. A small couch cushion works for this. You just want something to elevate your hips. If you want to have a blanket to cushion your knees, you can grab that at any time as well. Nothing required, just for an extra stretch at the end if you want it. You happen to have something handy. So I'll be setting these aside and just using them at the very end of class. As you join me and get ready here this evening, pick a comfortable seated position. For me, sitting on my heels feels really great. It's a nice stretch for the quadriceps and the area around the kneecaps. For many people, this is not a happy and comfortable place. I'd rather you're in a happy and comfortable place, cross-legged, legs extended, sitting with your back against a wall so you feel like you can sit tall, whatever works for your body for this first portion of the class. So come to that comfortable seat for you. And then bring a hand onto your belly, right over your belly button. So you're putting the palm of your hand on top of it. As you inhale, use your abdominal muscles to push your hand away from you. And then as you exhale, draw your abdominal wall back, feel your hand relax back to the body. And just breathe like this a few times. Inhaling, expand your abdominal wall outward. And then exhale, begin to pull it back in, firm those muscles towards the bone. One more deep breath using your belly. Just remove your hand, allow your breath to flow naturally. Relax your shoulders. And soften your gaze or even close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you today. This is an opportunity, if you'd like to take it, to set an intention for this class. That intention could be anything. That intention could be to do more yoga or finish class tonight. The intention could be to do your dishes after this. It could be a big intention, a habit to break, something to change, a goal. Anything that resonates with you can be your intention. Take a few moments and just see if there's anything that piques your interest, that is something you want to work on. Do find an intention, something that resonates with you, you can just take a moment to hold whatever that is in your mind. And now without your hands touching your belly, see if you can repeat that deep belly breath. Inhale, expand the wall of your abdominals outwards. And then exhale, hug the muscles back towards the bones, deflate the belly. Keep holding that intention in your mind as you work on your breath. I especially enjoy setting intentions in a core focused practice because when you finish working on your core, you feel strong, you feel empowered, you feel ready to do anything. One more deep breath here. And then go ahead and make your way to your table pose. You can take a moment to wiggle out your fingers, your toes, your feet, your ankles, rolling things around. Come to your table pose as you're ready in the center of your mat. Shrug your shoulders back away from your ears as you inhale. Lift your belly button up a little bit towards the ceiling, and then as you exhale, walk your hands out in front of you, 6-8 inches or so, and then slide your shoulders over your wrists. Keep lifting the belly button towards the spine in this low plank. Tuck your elbows in, and as you exhale, lower yourself all the way down to the floor. When you reach the mat, your nose hovers, you tuck your elbows in, press the tops of your feet down, press your pelvis down, and then start to lift the center of your chest. Feel your belly pressing against the floor as you do this. Exhale, go ahead and release. I'm just going to repeat our cobra 4 more times. Any size cobra works. If it feels good, you can always press into your hands and lift a little higher, even lifting the belly away from the mat. Just be aware of how it feels as you exhale and you lower your abdomen back to the floor. Inhale, a little bit of lift. Exhale to release. 2 more. Work at your own pace. Press the tops of your feet down. Just becoming aware of how your core area feels tonight. You might also feel this in your lower back. After this next one, you're going to press your hands down and scooch back to a child's pose. You can always take your knees a little wider here. Hips are heavy towards the heels. I like to rock my forehead a little bit from right to left. Just finding some dynamic movement here in child's pose. And as you're ready, inhale forward to your table, and we'll start the more active part of our class. Spread your fingers nice and wide. As you inhale, relax your belly. Lift your tailbone, lift your gaze, find your cow pose. As you exhale, firm the abdominals back towards the spine, lift the belly up and in, cat pose. Inhale, cow. And exhale, cat. Try 3 more sets like that. Range of motion that feels pleasant to your spine. From here, we'll come back to neutral. Not rounded, not arched. Shrug your shoulders a little bit back behind you and bring your weight into your fingertips. So you're leaning ever so slightly forwards. And then bring your weight to your left hand. See if you can just reach your right hand out. Just slide those fingertips just a little bit forward, hovering them above the floor, just in front of the other hand. Shrug your shoulders back and notice how you really have to lift your low belly up and in here. It's a strange amount of core work. As you exhale, lower that right hand down, transfer the weight over, lift your left hand. Weight is in the balls of the fingers. Shrug your shoulders back, lift your low belly, and switch. And we'll just alternate sides. And it's just like this tiny reach forward. As you reach forward with the hand, your hips keep going to the back of the room. You keep lifting the belly up and in. And try a few more on each side. You can imagine that you are knitting your rib cage together. You are drawing the opposite sides of the ribs in and close to one another. Let's try one more on each side. Reaching forward. Such a small movement, but so effective. And then go ahead. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Inhale, find cow pose. And exhale, find cat pose. A little more fluid movement. Inhaling. And exhaling. And then here you might like to add the extension of your right leg behind you. As you do that, keep your belly a little bit lifted so that you feel the work right here at the place where your thigh and your belly connect. Exhale, draw the knee into the nose. Inhale, reach behind. Exhale, knee to nose. If you like, you can add the extension of the left arm. And then draw the elbow and the knee towards the midline of the body. A little more work stabilizing your core there as well. Try one more like that. And then reach the arm, reach the leg. Lift the belly button and release. Take 3 rounds of cow and cat between the sides. And let these maybe be a little funky. Just kind of exploring what feels good. You can always even turn your wrists around here as you move in cow and cat if they tend to trouble you, or wiggle them out. When you're ready, reach the crown of the head forward, tailbone up, cow pose. Exhale, full cat pose. Adding perhaps the leg, inhaling, keeping the belly a little bit lifted. Exhaling into nose. So you feel your abdominal core working the whole time. Maybe you like to add the extension of the right arm in addition to the left leg. Knee and elbow come in towards the midline. It's like they're both on their own track, so they don't meet. The elbow kind of comes back by the hip, and the knee comes up towards the nose. Last one. Reach the leg, reach the arm, lift the belly, and then hand down, leg down. Inhale, cow. Again, you can wiggle out your wrists or turn them around if you need to. This is really just an opportunity to move in any way that feels good. Cow, cat is kind of your starting point. Take one more deep breath. And then coming back to neutral, walk your hands just a few inches in front of you this time. Just slightly in front of the shoulders. Spread the fingers wide, tuck your toes under, press back through the arches of the feet, and maybe you can lift to downward facing dog. Spend a few breaths here. You could pedal your feet and sway your hips. If you need to, you can always come back down to that table pose. And as you're ready, stepping your feet towards the front of the mat. Come to dangle up there. Allow your shoulders to soften. Allow your arms to be heavy. You can even interlace the hands into the opposite elbow creases here. Sway perhaps a little side to side. Releasing the arms if you lace them up. Inhale, pick up a halfway lift. Maybe hands to the shins or to the thighs. Exhale to release. As you inhale, keep the knees soft. Press the weight into the heels of the feet. Roll one vertebrae at a time up to the ceiling. When you reach standing, you can roll your shoulders back. And then on an inhale, bring your arms up overhead. Grab your left wrist with your right hand and lean to your right, finding a little side stretch. If you need a little more, you can pull your arms back towards your ears. Inhale to the center line. And then exhale, grab the right wrist with the left hand and lean to your left. A little stretch for those abdominal muscles. Inhale, come back to the center line. As you exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, find halfway lift. As you exhale, you're going to sit back into your imaginary chair and peel yourself up. Hands can come to the thighs, to the hips, arms straight from the shoulder, or even up by the ear if that feels comfortable. Sit back a little deeper. Make sure you can see your toes, chair pose. And then lift your belly button a little bit. You'll notice your tailbone goes towards the earth, and it doesn't have to be terribly far. It's just a little bit of engagement so that you feel this area working. Because what happens if you don't is you end up with this lovely sway back, and all of the work goes here. We want a little bit of the work here in the back, but we want to support with the core muscles as well. Take another deep breath here as you inhale. And then as you exhale, go ahead and fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands down to the floor. Step your right foot or your right knee to the back of the mat. Step your left foot or your left knee to the back of the mat. Table or downward facing dog. Inhale here. As you exhale, lower your knees to the floor if you have not done so already. Make sure that your hands are a little bit forward. If they don't feel forward enough, you can walk them forward so your shoulders are over the wrist for that low push-up. We're going to do 3 push-ups here. We're going to start with low. You'll have the opportunity to do high. If you like to cross your ankles, go ahead. Inhale here. As you exhale, bend your elbows. See if you can aim those straight back behind you as you lower as close as possible to the floor. The nose could kiss, or you could go just a few inches. Lift up. Keep your belly button towards your spine. 2. And you've got 1 more. 3. Lift up. And this is like a 4th cheater one. Lower all the way down, and you can stay, uncurl your feet, press them down, and lift up. Find your cobra pose. Feel that lovely pressure of the floor against your belly. Hopefully you didn't eat a big dinner right before this. Exhale to release. Tuck your toes under and come on back. You can come to table or all the way up to downward facing dog. Lift your right foot to the sky as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, step your right foot up to the front of the mat by your right hand. Bring your left knee to the floor. Feel free to cushion it. And then just lean a little forward into your hips so that you feel the front of your left hip, feel the front of your left thigh, stretching those muscle attachments. If you need to, you can bring the hands to the inside of the foot, or even take that foot a little wider. I like to angle my right foot a little out to the right corner of the mat. And usually what happens is the more you lower the hips and lift the torso, the deeper a stretch you'll get. Maybe you want to add in a bit of a twist. The left hand stays down, and you come and you look a little bit over your right shoulder. You can even open your right arm. If it feels good, you can even fold your right foot in towards you and hold on. Totally optional. This does not feel good in all knees, so don't feel like you need to do it. Just provides an extra stretch. When you're ready, you're going to release and come back towards the center line. If you walked your foot out, you're going to walk it a little bit in. And plant your fingertips on the floor. Square your shoulders to the front of the mat. Tuck your left set of toes under. And as you inhale, lift your left knee. You have a couple of options here. You could stay low, working the hip flexors, the front of the thigh, the connection of the leg and the hip and the belly. And on an exhale, you could lower down. Inhale to lift. And exhale to lower. And you might stay right here. This might feel good. If you want a little more work for your stability, a little more balance work, you could keep that back knee slightly soft. On an inhale, you can lift all the way up into a crescent lunge. Let your tailbone be heavy. Same motion from up here. Back knee lowers down and lifts. You want to do between 5 and 10 on each side. You can do a few of each or just as many as you can. Don't need to do a ton, especially if you're in this upward position. 5 is plenty to start to feel the front of that leg. You're going to lower that back knee all the way down. Fold back to the floor and then step back to your table pose. Walk your hands a little bit forward. Come to your low plank, push-ups again, or you can tuck your toes and come to high plank. Just 3. Lift your belly. Exhale, lower down. It can be just a few inches, or you can go all the way to the floor. Inhale, lift up. Keep the core strong and stable. You can lower on this last one all the way down, untuck your toes. Inhale, find your cobra pose, can be big or small. Exhale to release, and then go ahead and take a break. Come to your child's pose, or you can stay lying flat on your belly. Either way, you should have your belly resting a little bit against your thighs or against the floor, and just notice what it's doing. Can you feel your breath there? Feel the core becoming active. The nice thing about working from the core is it just heats up really quickly and it radiates that heat through your whole body. When you're ready, inhale, come back to your table, or tucking your toes, you can come back to your downward facing dog. As you're ready, lift your left foot to the sky and step your left foot up to the front of the mat. Your right knee comes to the floor. First, we're doing a little bit of stretching before we go into that activation. So you want to lean a little forward into the thigh, maybe lift up. If you do like to use a block, you can always put your hands on blocks here. I always feel like I can't get enough space with my knee centered, so I like to take my left foot a little out to the side and lower down a little more. But that's just my personal preference. That's what my body likes. Don't take my word for it. My body is not your body. Maybe you want to stay here. Maybe you want to go into that little bit of twist, and it can be enough just sometimes to look a little bit over towards the left knee or behind the shoulder. Or you can plant the right hand down and come into a fuller variation of the twist. If it's available to you and it feels good, you could bring that back foot in and give it a little hug. Just a little extra stretch. Personally, I find this a lot easier when I'm really far forward, so I'm more balanced on the front of my thigh than I am on my knee. If I'm really high up and lifted here, I find this quite untenable on my knee. So find a spot that feels good for your knee. When you're ready, you're going to release, and you're going to come back to the center line. If you walked your left foot out, you want it to be back kind of underneath the center line of the body, so your hands can be under your shoulders. Tuck your back toe, and you can do the low heater upper or the high heater upper. The low one is inhale to lift the right knee, exhale to kiss it to the floor. And if you do that, keep your belly lifting. Chances are it's touching your left thigh, but you want to imagine that you're drawing it away. If you want to come into the high variation, keep that back knee a little soft. Lift up to your crescent lunge, soften your tailbone, and then bend the knee. And lift. And here you want to be lifting your belly kind of away from your thigh as well. And again, between 5 and 10 is more than enough. Like almost anything, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. Are you paying attention to what your belly is doing? Go ahead and lower that back knee all the way down. Fold forward. Step back to your table. You have the option here to come right back and rest in your child's pose or flat on your belly. Or if you feel quite frisky, this is all making you feel wonderfully warm, you can take another half vinyasa, low plank or high plank. Exhale, make your way to the floor. Inhale, you can find cobra or sphinx, that's elbows under the shoulders, upward facing dog if it's in your practice. Exhale to release and make your way back. We'll all meet in the next few breaths in table or in downward facing dog. Spend a few moments in your table or your dog. Find your belly button again. From your dog or your table, walk or step up to the front of the mat. Inhale, find halfway lift. Exhale to fold. As you inhale, you roll yourself all the way up to the sky. And as you exhale, you bring your hands in front of your heart. If it's helpful, you can bring a hand on top of your belly, but you don't need to. And just see again if you can feel your breath there. You can feel your abdominal muscles working. They press away, they expand as you inhale, and they draw in, they contract as you exhale. Last deep breath. arms overhead on inhale. That makes sense. Exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, find a halfway lift. As you exhale, sit back into your imaginary chair. Draw your hands up, thighs, hips, up by the shoulder or even the ear. Sit a little deeper and find the amount of lift in your core that allows you to just feel a little active. It's like you're drawing the lowest part of your belly just a little away from your thighs. Not so much that you're kind of doing this and you feel like you're riding a tiny little motorbike. You still want your bum to be reaching a little bit behind you. Just a little engagement in your legs. Making sure you can see your toes. Inhale here. And then exhale to fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, plant your hands down, step, or hop, or walk all the way to the back of the mat, downward dog, or table pose. Inhale, come forward to your plank pose. And here we're simply going to hold. You can hold your high plank, or you can bring your knees and hold a low plank. Another option for a plank is to come to your forearms if your wrists tend to bother you, bringing your elbows underneath your shoulders. And I always have to walk my knees back if I'm going to do that in low plank. You can do that in lifted plank as well. And just lift your belly button up and in. Aim your heels a little bit back. And we're almost done here already. Exhale. Lower all the way to the floor. As you inhale, you can pick up Sphinx, sliding the elbows under the shoulders. You can pick up Cobra, or again, upward facing dog. Exhale to release, slide your hands under your shoulders, press back, table, or all the way up to downward dog. Lift your right foot to the sky. This time you'll step your right foot behind your right hand at the front of the mat, and then rotate on your back heel, rotate on the ball of your toe on that back foot, setting your back heel down at about a 45-degree angle. Inhale, rise up to warrior one. Squaring the hips a little forward. As you do that, you might feel a nice stretch again at the front of the left thigh. You can adjust the angle of your back foot for comfort. Should feel okay in your knee. Reach your arms up. Grab your left wrist with your right hand and lean a little over to your right so you deepen that stretch in the left side of the torso. Inhale, come back to the center line. As you exhale, you're going to fold forward, draw your arms behind you. Stop at the point when your spine is approximately parallel to the floor. Lift your belly away from your thigh, reach the crown of your head forward. Lightning warrior. Press down into the right heel, lift up a little bit through your core. Now, for this next one, you are only straightening your legs as far as feels good to your body. So that might be just a few inches. You can keep your arms behind you. You can rest your hands onto your thigh as you begin to straighten the leg coming to pyramid. If it feels good, it can come pretty straight. Keep lifting your belly. Keep reaching the crown of your head forward. If you feel quite stable, you can even take your hands behind your back, placing them one on top of each other, and then imagine you're lifting your lower back up into your hands. Shrug your shoulders back away from your ears. Now we're working on the back of the core. As you're ready, soften that right knee back. Inhale, peel yourself all the way back up. Arms come overhead. And as you exhale, fold forward, plant your hands, turn your back foot straight forward and back, and step back, table or downward facing dog. And you have the option to skip your half vinyasa, hanging out in a table or a dog or a child's pose, or you can join me coming forward to plank as you inhale, exhale to the floor. Inhale, cobra or sphinx or upward facing dog. Exhale, lift your belly up as you come back to table or downward facing dog, or we'll all meet in the next breath or two. When you're ready, float your left foot to the sky. Step your left foot behind the left hand. Back heel rotates down to the floor, 45-ish degree angle. Press into your front heel and lift up, warrior one. Square your hips a little to the front of the room. That means your left hip is coming back and your right hip is coming lightly forward. Adjust the angle of your back foot so that that feels stable for your knee joint. Lift your belly button. And then grab your right wrist with your left hand and lean a little over to the left. We'll start with the stretch again. Just releasing the abdominal muscles. As you inhale, come back to the center line. And as you exhale, you fold forward, lightning warrior. The arms sweep back behind you. If you need to, you can always rest the hands on the thigh for extra support, and then lift your belly away from your thigh. Reach the crown of your head forward. This is also great for heating up your front leg. Now you could stay right here. Or if you like, you can start to straighten your front leg. Feel free to rest your hands onto your thigh, or to take your hands immediately behind your back. And again, you want to be lifting a little bit the belly, lifting the low back up into the hands. So you're starting to work those muscles along either side of your spine. Keeping those back muscles strong. If you shrug your shoulders back, and imagine lifting the heads of your shoulders away from the mat, like someone put two little props underneath your shoulders. You'll also get some nice shoulder girdle stability there. And you have a few breaths to hang out here. See if you can feel the whole center of your body. It should feel nice and toasty right about now. When you're ready, you soften the left knee. See if you can peel yourself all the way back up to warrior one. And then fold forward, hands plant down, back foot turns straight forward and back, step back. Table or downward facing dog. Your choice to rest in any position that feels good, really, or to take that half vinyasa, plank. Any version of your push-up. Cobra or sphinx or upward facing dog. And then releasing, meeting back in table or child or downward facing dog or lying on your belly. A spot where you can start to feel your breath again. When you're ready, come back to your table or your downward facing dog. Tuck your toes under if you want to come to that downward facing dog and lift up. And then walk or step or hop to the front of the mat. Inhale, find a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. As you inhale, roll yourself all the way up to the sky. And as you exhale, bring your hands down in front of your heart. You might like to place one hand on the belly. You might not. But again, see if you can feel not just your breath here, but maybe in your belly you can feel your heartbeat now. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale to fold all the way forward. Inhale, you can pick up halfway lift. As you exhale, one more Utkatasana, sit back in your chair. Lift your arms to the position that feels good. Sit a little back, but then just that light activation of the abdominals. So you can feel not just the front of your core working, but you can feel your lower back gently working. If you stay here too much, what you're going to feel is just a lot of compression kind of squishing together in your spine, and you want to have a little bit of length in your spine. You're still, again, working these muscles here. So you can, it's okay if you feel your lower back, but it shouldn't feel painful or kind of crunched up. It might just feel like, oh yeah, something is working in there. Take another breath. Inhale. As you exhale, fold all the way forward. Inhale, find halfway lift. And here you want to walk your hands out so they're underneath your shoulders. If you happen to have a prop that you like to use, blocks or something, you can also place your blocks underneath your hands or one block underneath the hands. Soften your knees a little bit. Give your tail a little wiggle. We're going to do some standing up balance crunches. When you're ready, bring your weight to your left foot. Peel your right heel away from the floor. Just notice, maybe even try that a few times. What happens in your lower abdominals when you lift your right heel? They lift too. When you're ready, you're gonna lift that right foot all the way up and see if you can extend the right leg behind you. And it's not terribly important what height the leg comes to, so it's okay if it's a little bit lower. Reach the crown of your head forward. See if you can think about expanding the crown. You might even have to walk your hands a little further forward. This is your inhale. As you exhale, curl your right knee in towards your chest, just like we were doing earlier. You can bend your left knee. Inhale to expand, and exhale to contract. And again, doing about 5 is pretty darn good. You don't need to do a ton of these. You're just finding that activation. This will be the last one, and you'll plant your foot down, and you'll fold forward. Inhale, find halfway lift, find a little bit of release. Exhale to fold forward. We'll set up for the other side. So let your hands or your hands-on props be underneath your shoulders. Let your knees get soft. Weight to the right foot and start by just lifting the heel a couple of times and see if you can feel your low belly. When you're ready, you shoot that left foot back behind you. Find your balance, find your stability, find the core working. As you lift this leg behind you, that's a lot of work for your abdominal muscles and for your back muscles. Inhale here, and then exhale, curl in a little bend in the right knee. Inhale to reach, exhale, curl in. Couple more. If they feel invigorating, they feel like they're doing something beneficial for your body. This is the last one. Curl everything in, and then plant the left foot next to the right foot. Inhale, find halfway lift. As you exhale, go ahead and fold all the way forward. Place your fingertips down. Heel toe your feet out a little wider than your hips, toes out, heels in, and then bend your knees and find a squat. You can find a horse squat, bringing your hands up to your thighs. You can find a spider squat, walking your fingertips a little in front of you. One of my personal favorites. Looks terribly awkward, but it feels like a really nice stretch for both the hips and the shoulders. Or you can come all the way down to Malasana, hips between the heels. Take a few breaths here. You may have noticed that we haven't done any crunches of the traditional variation, no sit-ups, no kind of normal abdominal exercises. These are all activations of your core, enlivenings of your core. Because what we tend to forget is our abdominal muscles, our core muscles, are actually working all the time just to help us stand up, to sit up straight and tall. Sometimes they just need a little reminder to help them function in a way that is supporting your body. It's not about six-pack abs. It's about abs that wrap around you and hold your spine straight and tall. When you're ready, you can go ahead and release yourself to seated. And you'll be relieved to hear that there is no boat pose tonight. Go ahead and wiggle your feet around. And we'll come into a couple of more stretches and lengthenings. If you only work your abdominals by shortening the muscles, contracting the muscles, then what you end up with is short, contracted muscles, and usually a posture that's something like this. If you work the muscles and you contract them, you get strength, but then you also need to balance that with some length and some flexibility. When you're ready, draw your right knee in. And you can practice this with your right foot on the inside, or you can step your right foot to the outside of your left leg. If you want, you can fold your left foot in and place the left foot by the right butt cheek. Your choice. Lift your arms up as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, twist over to your right. You can hug your right leg, or you can take your arm to the outside. See what feels good. And here, just let this feel like a release. Don't strain to go further into the twist. Just go to the point where it's like, oh, that feels really nice for my back and for my belly. Hang out there for a few breaths. Inhale. Come back to the center line. Go ahead and switch sides. You're going to cross the right, no, excuse me, you're going to cross the left foot to the outside. or stay on the inside for your twist. You can fold your right foot in towards the left butt cheek if you want. And when you're ready, you find a place where both of your hips are on the floor. You lift your arms up as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, you find your twist. And again, it's not how far into the twist you can go. It's not, are you the most pretzel-y person? It's, it doesn't feel like a nice release for the areas that we've been working. Inhale, come back to center. Unwind your legs. Again, you can get them a wiggle and give them a shake. And then we're going to do a little forward fold here with our legs extended out in front of us. As you sit here, and if you sit here and you think, oh, my back hurts in here, my hamstrings feel really tight, feel free to do one of several things. You could sit up onto a blanket or a rolled up bit of mat behind you. You could draw your knees in. You're welcome to also place a prop underneath the knees. You can do either or both of those things at any point as we come into this forward fold. Lift your arms up as you breathe in. As you breathe out, lean back. Just feel those abdominals activate so they catch you. Inhale again here. And then as you exhale, fold forward, reach towards your toes. It's not important if you touch them. The hands could always land on the thighs or the shins or the floor. If they like to land on the feet, you can do that. And see if you can feel some stretch at the back of your body. Your actual back, your spine, the back of your legs, your hamstrings. And know that if you do this and it just feels kind of too intense, you can always raise the hips and or draw the knees in. Just like standing forward fold, keeping the knees soft allows this to come into the spine as opposed to just into the hamstrings if you have tight hamstrings. If you have tight hips, sitting up onto the blanket allows you to fold more functionally forward from your pelvis so you get a better stretch in your back. Instead of thinking of modifications or alternate poses as something that you do because you can't do something else, I like to think of them as something that you do because your body works a certain way. Because that's just how your body functions. If you like to drink Gatorade and not lemonade, why would you drink lemonade? It's just what your body likes. Prefers a certain flavor. Your taste buds are acclimated to a certain thing. Our bodies, in terms of our musculature, are the same. There's certain things they like and certain things they dislike. And just like taste, sometimes those things change over time. That's things like flexibility, strength. We can influence those. We can keep working on them. We can keep trying. And talked about Brussels sprouts the other day. We keep trying Brussels sprouts until we like them. But sometimes there's things you can't change. You can't change how your bones fit together. And when you're ready, inhale and come all the way back up. Go nice and slow. And then here we're going to roll all the way down to the floor. You can take this as an opportunity for a little more core work if you like. Extending the arms in front of you. The legs can be straight or the knees can be bent here. See what feels better to your lower back. Inhale, lift up. And as you exhale, start to lower all the way down to the mat. Go one vertebrae at a time. Slowly, 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 all the way to the floor. And when you reach the mat, take a moment and just relax. I like to put my hand on my belly so again I can feel what is happening there. You can feel perhaps your heartbeat. Maybe you can feel some literal heat coming off of your belly. It's been working. Knees in a little bit so the soles of your feet are on the floor. We're going to take one full bridge pose here. Bring your hands down by your sides. Press the palms to the floor. Relax your shoulders. Draw your belly button towards the mat. You'll start to feel it's like you're doing the teeniest, tiniest little crunch. You're just drawing all your abdominal muscles together. And then press into your heels and lift your hips. Relax your shoulders. You can lift a little higher if you like in the hips. See if you can begin to feel the muscles involved. You want to feel your belly muscles, so you want to lift your belly button up towards the ceiling. The thighs, the fronts of the thighs, the quadriceps are also working here, so you might feel some warmth there. The hamstrings, the back of the thighs and the glutes are working. The low back muscles along your spine are working. This is basically every part of your body. And take another deep breath. And then gently lower yourself all the way back to the floor. Take a moment, you can take your feet a little wider than your hips and let your knees knock in towards one another, just restoring this natural curve of your lumbar spine, of your lower back. Maybe you'd like to add a shoulder stretch, reaching your arms up overhead, cross your right arm on top of your left arm and wrap your arms around yourself so you feel your shoulder blades starting to stretch a little bit. Your arms up into the air, cross your left arm on top, give yourself that big hug again. You can keep the knees as they are, or you could go the other direction, soles of the feet together, knees fall out to the sides. Stretching a little more into the hip flexors, that connection of hip and belly and thigh. You're ready. You're going to bring the knees in, bring the arms down to the sides. Take your feet a little wider than your hips again, and now bring your knees just a little bit from side to side. Gentle sway, little windshield wiper. And then the next time that your knees come over to the right, just go ahead and let them stay there. This might feel like a perfectly fine twist. If it feels good and you want to go a little deeper, you can take your right ankle over the top of your outer left knee. Just make sure that feels okay in the kneecap and in the inner hip here. Another little stretch into the low abs. If this variation doesn't feel good, please feel free to do any variation of twisted pose. All of these twists or any twist will help to release your belly. When you're ready, you can come back to the knees up, the feet a little wide, and go a few times side to side. Just kind of loosen stuff up. And the next time that the knees fall over to the left, let them stay. You could stay exactly like that. You could stack the left ankle on top of the right outer knee. You could take a totally different variation, knees together if you want. Does it feel really good for your core, for all of the stuff that we were working today? That's what matters. Again, might be to your taste what I'm suggesting, or you might decide, I'd like to just, modify my order a little bit. Instead of the Dijonnaise, maybe I could just have an aioli with garlic. It's basically the same thing. It just suits you better. When you're ready, bring your knees back to the center line. Go ahead and hug them one and then the other into the chest, and you want to feel your thighs against your belly if you can, and then rock a little bit from side to to side. And you're just going to rock yourself enough over to one side so that you can press up and grab your prop if you're using one for this last stretch. You can also do this, as I said before, without a prop. You can use a block. I actually like to use a blanket because my tailbone is quite tender, so it feels good just to have something really easy. Lie yourself back down. If you're using a blanket, you can just place it right underneath your hips. If you're using a block, you can kind of hold it out to the side. You're back in kind of your bridge pose position, and we're going to come to supported bridge. You're going to lift your hips and take your prop underneath them, letting your hips rest down just slightly elevated off the floor. If you don't have a prop, go ahead and just ignore the lifted part and continue to do all of the other stuff. You're still going to get a bit of a stretch. You can stay right here, or you could extend your right leg down to the bottom of the mat. You might feel a gentle stretch across the front of the body. The higher the prop, the more stretch you're going to feel, so you can always fold your blanket higher if you need to, or if you think your block is too high, it's too intense, maybe you grab something a little lower. Maybe you reach your arms up overhead to intensify that stretch through the front of the body. You can stay practicing just one side, or if you like, you can extend both legs to the bottom of the mat. Feeling the openness at the front of the body, the core of your body. Took both legs down. You can draw the right knee in to go to the other side. If you've been practicing just one side, you can switch over to the other side. So bending the right knee instead of the left knee. This is such a nice thing to do for your body, not just after abdominal work, but after any long period of sitting or standing in kind of a static position, like if you work as a checkout person. Because what happens when we do those things is our abdominal muscles start to get short. They compress, they try and kind of hold us in, and we often end up with that posture where we're folded a little forward, and this is the opposite. This is just taking us the other direction and opening everything up. When you're ready, you can draw the soles of both of your feet back in. And if that felt really good, you're welcome to repeat that, extending the feet back to the bottom of the mat. Or you could conversely try a little supported shoulder stand, extending your legs up towards the ceiling. If you try that option, you might wiggle your toes around, flex your ankles a little bit. You can always also just stay in supported bridge, which is with the soles of the feet to the floor, the knees pointing up. Wherever you are, it should feel pleasant and stretchy and not intense. Gentle is what we're going for now at this point. Now, if where you are right now feels wonderful, you're welcome to stay. Any of these supported bridge variations is appropriate to stay for the next couple of minutes. You could take your whole Shavasana there if you want. Or if there's any other pose or shape that you would like, or you're ready to come to a more traditional resting pose, you can always bring your feet down, move your prop out to the side. You could do anything else you need before extending to your Shavasana. Allowing yourself to find a comfortable, easy resting place for your body. As usual, it is totally unimportant what that looks like. It's far more important that it feels really conducive to it, you might like to bring a hand back onto your belly. And again, feel your breath there. No extra effort this time. You don't need to be actively moving your abdominal wall. Now you just notice how it moves without your input. The inherent intelligence of your body. The thing I love about doing yoga is that all of these exercises are meant to make your body a better place to live, to make you feel more comfortable, more functional. It's not about how your abdominals look, quads look, calves, whatever it is that is trendy right now, biceps I guess maybe. It's about, does your body feel strong and capable to do the things that you want to do? And to me, that's what working the core is about. When you work with the center of the body, you work with this incredibly powerful set of muscles. You energize, you activate, you motivate your body and yourself. If you happened to set an intention at the beginning of class, you can call that intention back to mind, kind of like planting a seed. First, you need to think about it. You need to plant that seed in the ground. And you need to care for it. You need to water it, let it have access to sunlight, the nutrients of the soil. That's your practice. And from there, that seed will grow. And the more you nurture it, the more you practice, the more and the stronger it will grow. As usual, if you have the time, please stay in your Shavasana another 5 or 10 minutes. If you need to be moving on with your day, you can take a big breath in. Maybe even stretch your arms up over your head. If you're lying down, you could point your toes. And then wiggle the toes and the fingers. As you're ready, roll yourself all the way over to one side for a few breaths. As you're ready, you can make your way to your most comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you today. And here again, we'll bring a hand onto the belly, maybe a hand onto the heart. Closing with our deep breath together. In through the nose, out through the mouth, on 3. 1, 2, 3. this practice energizing and strengthening, and most of all, motivating and intentional. Hopefully you feel ready to conquer anything. If you can do an hour of core work, you can do anything. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.